Merry Christmas. Welcome to my Ryzen 7 1700X Christmas 2018 upgrade/build. I'm not actually building it. It's already been built, but I'm just going to tell you what I purchased, how much, and how well it worked out. So, to start this adventure, we started back in, I think it was like October. I had a decommissioned home theater PC based on the Cooler Master Elite 343 mini tower using a micro ATX form factor. It had an old ASRock motherboard in it, an old AMD FX6300 processor, a Cooler Master TX3 Evo air cooler. The nice thing about this case, I mean, it's an older model case. It's got some definite things that I don't like about it, but it does have a removable hard drive bay, so you can take this hard drive bay out, and when you do that, you get a lot more space for graphics cards, and you get better cooling. The downside of this case is it's very, very thin. Not much for cable management. Not a whole lot of room for fans. It comes with a 120 millimeter front fan. You can fit an 80 or a 90 millimeter rear fan, so I put a 90 exhaust fan in the back. So the first thing I did was, back in October, I was like, I'll take my decommissioned computer and I'll put this RX 570 graphics card, $174, $154.99 after the $20 rebate card. This originally I bought mine from I think it was Amazon Prime, and it was $179 at the time. So we'll look at my parts list here. Yeah, it was $159.99 with a $20 rebate, and I got Assassin's Creed Odyssey with it. Installed the Assassin's Creed Odyssey using the FX6300 and the RX 570 graphics card, and I found that the AMD FX6300 was bottlenecking the card. It was not very fast. I wasn't getting the performance that I needed, and Assassin's Creed was almost unplayable on it. So back around a week before Thanksgiving, right before Black Friday hit, I saw this AMD Ryzen 7 1700X 8-core processor, and it was on sale for $149. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So after a bit of research, I found this ASRock motherboard, not the best for overclocking, but it did support DDR4 3200 RAM, and not the real expensive flare RAM either. I found that you could put this less expensive G.Skill Ripjaws V-Series RAM. Pay attention to that number if you decide to do this build for yourself. It's a $70 or $74 motherboard, micro ATX form factor, DDR4 3200. This RAM works right out of the box. No BIOS updates needed. So these three all work together harmoniously. I found when I looked at the motherboard, I found that it took an M.2 Gen 3 X4 Ultra M.2. I was like, well, since things are going on sale, I think I will wait for one of these M.2 Ultra M.2s to go on sale, and then I'll buy one. And so I did that too. I got me a Samsung 970 EVO M.2 500 gigabyte. At the time it was $116. Let's see what it is now. Right now it's $129. Let me see. The Ryzen is all the way back up to $229 now. So when I got it for $149, it was a steal. When I bought this RAM, it was $116. And the motherboard was $73.99, and it's now on sale for $70.99. There's only 3 reviews on this motherboard, but every one of the reviews is 5 stars. And this is my review. And what I'm going to say about this motherboard, there are more expensive full-size ATX out there that fall far short of this one, because this one has out-of-the-box compatibility with G.Skill 16 gigabyte F4 3200 C16D memory. All you got to do is go into the BIOS and enable the XMP profile. Compatible with the Samsung M70 EVO M.2 500 gigabyte. It has 4 RAM slots. It's very fast. The only downside is USB 3.1 Gen 1. It's probably not going to be the best overclock motherboard, but if it uses DDR4 3200 out of the box, and it does, and it did, and I'm using it now, then that's what you want. That's all the overclock it really needs. And if we look at, let me see. Let's take a look. If we look at this was my very first run using Passmark, and my CPU mark was 15492, and my turbo speed went from 3.8 to 3.9 using the performance power profile that comes with Windows 10. And I'm like, it says RX 470 down here, but it's a 570. I don't know why it says 470. That's just crazy. But I ended up spending, including the graphics card, I had to buy some thermal compound. That's $8.77. I bought an Arctic Freezer CO, semi-passive tower CPU. Cooler. Now I bought this one because the Cooler Master case is very thin. You cannot put a Hyper 212 Evo in there. It's too tall. So you have to go with something like a TX3 Evo, but I'm not sure if you can get it with the bracket or not. So I needed something that I knew was going to work, that came with the mounting for AMD AM4, so I ended up spending, $27 for this guy. But it fits inside the case. And not only that, my very last run for this, I cleaned up the operating system. I made it more efficient, and my Passmark rating for the computer was 5663.4, CPU mark 15609, my disk mark 22896. I've got a better screenshot of that. Let's take a look. CPU mark 15609. Single threaded mark was 2034. which is significantly better than the 1886 that it's normally rated for on Passmark's website. So if we go over here and we click on this, its general score is this. Single threaded score is usually this, but mine was 15609 and 2034. GPU mark went all the way up to 9225. GPU mark for that video card is normally $6713. So by unleashing the beast, putting in DDR4 3200 RAM, RX 570 graphics card, and an Ryzen 7 1700X processor. This combination proved to be a very winning combination. Even with a cheap budget motherboard, I am scoring significantly higher than the average. If we look at these scores, you can see that my system is in the 95th percentile. 5663 is pretty far up in the high-end section. My CPU mark for the 1700X. Now realize this is for when comparing my CPU against other 1700X CPUs. My score was 15609. This is on Air, and you know for this processor, it ends just below 1800. What is that? 18600. The 2D graphics mark was just barely above, just barely in the high-end mark, which is to be expected for a budget GPU. But the 9225, oh my, that is way up there. It's significantly higher than 6713. And as can be seen, some of these cards can be purchased for relatively cheap. 140, 163, $159. Really, I couldn't be more pleased. I added the NVMe drive, 500 gigabyte. I know everybody says, oh, 1 terabyte. You know, I play 1 or 2 games at a time. And Steam, it remembers your progress. So if you finish a game, just right-click, delete it. If you need to, reinstall it later on. Reinstall it later on. If you want to go back and play it again someday, you know, spend the 45 minutes or an hour downloading the game and play it. I usually play no more than 1 or 2 games at a time. I don't have 15 games installed on my system. It's not that important to me. 500 gigabytes for me is plenty. I have my gaming laptop, which is a Dell G7, and it has 1.2 terabytes of regular SSDs in it, and it's got my Office on it, and you know, all my productivity. Even though it's a gaming laptop, it has all my productivity software on it. This thing is slimmed down. The operating system is slimmed down. Windows 10 is maximized for gaming performance only. I don't run other software other than maybe Cyberlink DVD for my Blu-ray burner that I have installed in my case. So for me, this is a winning combination. These components here produced a solid gaming budget computer. Of course, I really reused my power supply, which was a Rose Rule 530 watt power supply, and the Elite 343 case, and of course, I had already had the peripherals, keyboards, monitor, and so on and so forth. The one thing I wasn't anticipating was having to buy a new CPU cooler for it, so that was kind of a drag. That was the only thing that didn't go well with this build. Other than that, everything just went together, and once it went together, I fired it up, and everything worked fabulous. All my scores were really high, and I couldn't be happier. I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And if you can find, if you like this build, if you like this combination of components and the performance that you'll get out of it, like my video. Thank you. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.